Hi guys, today I thought I would do another story time video as you guys really seem to be liking these. I did my first real relationship, my first boyfriend, my first period. I've done quite a few of these and I thought I would do another one today, and that's my first date. So this is like a first official date, like it was called a date, it felt like a date, it was a date. I went through high school and I talked about my first relationship with you guys, and there wasn't even really, I wouldn't even say there was a date throughout that entire time. You know, he would come over to my house, I'd go over to his house, and if we did anything together, it wasn't a date. It did not feel like a traditional date. And I'm saying date, someone picks you up or someone opens the door for you, or it feels like a date, I don't know. And I'm going to talk about my first real date. So this was, I want to say, my sophomore or junior year of college. This was a guy that I was friends with my freshman year, quite close friends with, I'd say. I feel like I knew at the time when we were friends that year that he somewhat had a crush. I don't think it was a real crush. I thought he was attractive, he thought I was attractive, but we never, I don't know. I think maybe, I don't know. I honestly don't even remember. That was such a long time ago. We might have had a few moments of, could this happen? But nothing ever happened. I think when I had moved out of school, he was actually dating a friend of mine. So nothing ever happened. And I think a year went by, maybe even more than a year. The winter of my junior year of college. I think third year, since I was there 5 years. But it was my third year of college, and it was around October, November, maybe the end of October. And I ran into him like on the street, like walking to class or something. And instead of just passing by and waving, we actually had a nice conversation, and we exchanged numbers and we started talking a little bit. I think it was maybe during, I want to say it was Hurricane Katrina times. It might have been, I might be wrong with that. But I think we talked for like 2 weeks for a reason, because we couldn't get together, and it might have been because of the hurricane. So we talked for a while, and then he had asked me on a date, like a real date. He was like, I want to take you on a real date. I want this to be, you know, like what you've never had. Because before I told him I'd never really had a date before, and so he wanted to be a gentleman about it. And I always thought of him as a very traditional, like gentlemanly guy. And I think when I first started talking to him at this point, I was very hesitant. I wasn't looking for a relationship. I definitely wasn't looking for a relationship with him. I think just because he had dated one of my friends before. I hadn't really been friends with her for like 2 years, so I didn't think of it as like an issue or anything. I don't think I had spoken to her in years. Only he was gonna pick me up at my house and stuff, and I, being the anxious person I am, being way less anxious back then, like now I'd be even worse. But he had planned to pick me up at my house, and I told him, you know, I'll just meet you, like it's no big deal. I knew where his apartment was. It was really close to where I normally like parked at school, so I was like, oh, don't worry about it, I can totally come and meet you. So the day before we were going to meet, I slept over a friend's house. So I think we were meeting on a Saturday night, and I slept over my friend's house on a Friday night. And I woke up that morning and told her, and I was so nervous. Literally from the moment I woke up, I was super nervous. I drove home, took a shower, and was getting ready like all day. The date, I don't think was till 7. I was so nervous. I remember I could barely eat. I was freaking out. It took me forever to get ready. I was sweating profusely. I must have powdered my face 100 times. And when I first parked my car at his apartment, I called him. I was like, I'm outside, and he was like, okay, just ring the buzzer and I'll let you in. And I couldn't figure that out. I'm very, like, honestly, I'm a very smart person. Like, I hate to be that annoying person who says that, but I'm a relatively smart person. But when it comes to like door buzzers, my brain just goes blank. I hit the buzzer and he buzzes me in and I can't open the door. I don't even know what's wrong with me. But I remember having such a hard time, and I called him and I was like, listen, like, I know you buzzed me in, but I can't like get in. I felt so stupid. It was making my nerves even worse. I was like, what is wrong with me? I can't open a freaking door. So he had to come all the way down from his apartment to let me in, and it was just like a bad start. He wanted to go out to dinner. I think he wanted to make it like a date, fancy. I want to take you out to a real dinner and buy you dinner, and I was so nervous, I think, of being anxious, and it was cold out. I remember I was wearing my winter coat. It was really cold out, and I was like, let's go for a walk. I was like, let's just hang out, make it more casual. And I think at the time I was not only nervous, but I also was, I think, trying to make it less of a date, because although I wanted my first date, I was not looking for a date. But he kept referring to me as in like saying, you know, you're like the person who would be a great girlfriend. You know, New Year's is coming up, I'm gonna take you to the city and take you out on a real date. And as he was convincing me of this, like that's what he spent kind of our first date doing, was convincing me that we could date and that he would take me out and do all these things for me that I'd never had before. And I was starting to break down. I was starting to not have my wall up, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I trust him already. We're friends. I've seen him be the way he is, and like we've had our moments, and it almost felt like, in my terms, of a TV show where you're friends and you have moments throughout time, nothing ever happens. And I was like, maybe now's the time for it to happen. Maybe we came back together for a reason. And I started to kind of warm up to the idea throughout the night. And we didn't end up going to dinner. We walked around for a while, but he was hungry, And so we went to Five Guys, and this is where the date started going like downhill in my opinion. He drove in his car, which was like an old car, and not old like 1999 car, but like 60s 50s car, and it was like a classic, and it was nice and it looked cool. But man, was it loud. Oh my god, it was loud. And he had the windows open, and so it was even louder, and it was cold out, and he was driving the highway. It was so loud, you couldn't hear a word. Like, we couldn't even talk the whole car ride. I was so uncomfortable. And then we got to Five Guys, and I didn't want anything, and I didn't want to be that girl who was like, oh, I don't want to eat on a date. I just was so nervous. I couldn't. Like, I was nauseous. So we're standing around, getting his Five Guys. I don't know, it just felt super weird, and I think he ended up eating it like in the car or something. And then we went back to his place, and he showed me his apartment, and we just talked a lot. We literally talked a lot about both of our old relationships, and it was a lot of me being like, you know, I wasn't looking for anything, but this has gone pretty well so far, and a lot of him being like, I always kind of had a crush on you, and, you know, convincing me that we should start dating. And so by the end of the night, I was kind of convinced, okay, we can go on a couple more dates and see where this goes. Like, I'm open to it. And so he walked me back to my car, and we did kiss goodbye, and it was a nice kiss, and I left like and drove away thinking, wow, this could be my real first date. This could be the start of like a real relationship with like a guy who I was friends with before. And so we had kept talking, and it was like over Thanksgiving, I think, and I guess we kind of slowed down. Like, we didn't, after that date, we didn't talk as much as we had before. And then we hung out like 2 or 3 more times, and I thought it was going pretty well. I did think it was weird that we didn't talk as much, because back then I was like a chatterbox on text message. Now I'm like, oh my god, if you text me all day, I'm so disinterested. But we definitely talked a lot less. He still kept convincing me, I guess, that we would work it out. I don't know, I felt like he was very convincing that he was trustworthy and that we would make a good couple. And although I wasn't open to it in the beginning, he was breaking me down to be more and more open to it. Then I think it was like right around Christmas break, he was supposed to leave for Christmas break, and we wanted to see each other one last time, but we hung out, and it was awkward. I just remember thinking like we had a good time, trying to convince myself I had a good time, but it felt awkward. It felt weird. It felt off from the other times we'd hung out. I think Christmas break came along, and he left far, not too far, maybe 45 minutes or something. I think it was a week into Christmas break, which is like mid-December, and so I had asked him to hang out. I was like, oh, do you want to hang out like while you're home? And he didn't answer me for a while. And then I remember I was at Starbucks with my sister waiting for my drink, and he texted me like a couple sentences. Oh, I'll never forget it. I'm forgetting it right now, but I'll never forget that moment. He said, listen, I'm really sorry about this, but I'm just not really in a place for a relationship right now. I'm just super busy, and it's just not gonna work out. And I remember being like, well, I don't know that my stomach dropped and I felt sick or anything, but I remember being annoyed. Like, my eyes must have rolled so far back into my head. I just remember being like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I've gotten that kind of text from plenty of guys over the years, but it's guys who have told me from the beginning they weren't interested, or never made it clear that they wanted a relationship in the first place, or like, you know, whatever we were was like up in the air the entire time. But with him, he made it so crystal clear that he wanted a relationship. He literally spelled it out for me, saying, I want to date you. And I was so hesitant in the beginning. I don't know what he was doing, just trying so hard to convince me that he was this good guy who was going to date me, only for me to get my hopes up and then to drop me to the floor. Cool. Thumbs up. And it was just really annoying, I guess. I think at the time I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Because before him, I think I had that kind of thing happen over and over again. It was a lot of, I'm starting to date someone, we should be getting to the point where we're in a boyfriend-girlfriend stage, and then bam, ghosting, just dropping you for no reason. A lot of nonsense like that, games and stuff that I'm not interested in. And so when that happened, I think I sort of was just like, screw this, I'm done. I don't know that I even said anything. I don't even think I've talked to him since. I think I said something like, okay, have a good vacation or something like that. And then after that, a few months later was when I dated my boyfriend. We dated for 6 months, and he was on my channel at one point. That video is still live if you want to watch it. So embarrassing. I was such a nervous wreck and so awkward. But then since then, I really haven't dated anyone at all. So that was my first real date. It led to a awkward ending, and it wasn't great. But the first date, I don't want to say was terrible. Like, there's definitely been worse first dates out there. Just thought I'd share that fun little anecdote with you guys. Let me know what your first date was like. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more from me, and I'll see you soon. Bye!